Agamemnon, Part I, by Aeschylus. Translated by Robert Browning. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Expatriate in Bangor, Maine. Agamemnon, Part I. Persons of the drama: Warder, Chorus of Old Men, Clytemnestra, Talthubios, the Herald, Agamemnon, Cassandra, and Aegisthus. Warder. The gods I ask deliverance from these labours, watch of a year's length whereby, slumbering through it, on the Atreides' roofs on elbow, dog-like, I know of nightly star-groups the assemblage, and those that bring to men, winter and summer, bright dynasts as they pride them in the ether, stars when they wither, and the uprisings of them. And now on ward I wait the torch's token. The glow of fire shall bring from Troy a message and word of capture. So prevails, audacious, the man's way planning hoping heart of woman. But when I, driven from night rest, dew-drenched, hold to this couch of mine, not looked upon by visions, since fear instead of sleep still stands beside me, so as that fast I fix in sleep no eyelids, and when to sing or chirp a tune I fancy, for slumber such song remedy infusing, I wail then, for this house's fortune groaning, not, as of old, after the best ways governed. Now, lucky be deliverance from these labours, at good news, the appearing dusky fire. O hail, thou lamp of night, a day-long lightness revealing, and of dances the ordainment. Hallo, hallo! To Agamemnon's wife I show, by shouting, that from bed, starting up at once, in the household joyous acclaim, good omen to this torch blaze, she send aloft, if haply Ilion's city be taken, as the beacon boasts announcing. Ay, and for me, myself will dance a prelude, for, that my master's dice drop right, I'll reckon, since thrice six has it shown to me, this signal. Well, may it hap that as he comes, the loved hand of the household's lord I may sustain with this hand. As for the rest, I'm mute. On tongue a big ox has trodden. Yet this house, if voice it take should, most plain would speak. So, willing, I myself speak to those who know. To who know not, I'm blankness. Chorus. The 10th year this, since Priamos' great match, King Menelaus, Agamemnon king. The strenuous yoke-pair of the Atreides' honour, two-throned, two-sceptred, whereof Zeus was donor, did from this land the aid, the armament dispatch, the 1,000-sailored force of Argives clamouring, Ares from out the indignant breast, as fling passion forth vultures, which, because of grief away, as are their young ones with the thief, lofty above their brood-nests wheel in ring, row round and round with oar of either wing, lament the bedded chicks, lost labour that was love. Which hearing, one above, whether Apollon, Pan, or Zeus, that wail, sharp-piercing bird-shriek of the guests who fare housemates with gods in air, such an one sends, against who these assail, what late sent shall not fail of punishing, Erinus. Here, as there, the guardian of the guest, Zeus, the excelling one, sends against Alexandros, either son of Atreus. For that wife, the many-husbanded, appointing many a tug that tries the limb, while the knee plays the prop in dust, while shred to morsels lies the spear-shaft. In those grim marriage prolusions, when their fury wed Danaoi and Troas both alike. All's said. Things are where things are, and as fate has willed, so shall they be fulfilled. Not gently grieving, not just doling out the drops of expiation, no, nor tears distilled, shall he we know of bring the hard about to soft, that intense ire at those mock rites unsanctified by fire. But we pay nought here. Through our flesh, age weighed, left out from who gave aid in that day, we remain, staying on staves a strength the equal of a child's at length. For when young marrow in the breast doth reign, that's the old man's match, Ares out of place in either. But in oldest age's case, foliage a-fading, why, he wends his way on 3 feet. and, no stronger than a child, wanders about gone wild, a dream in day. But thou, Tyndareus' daughter, Clytemnestra queen, what need, what new, what having heard or seen, by what announcements tidings everywhere settest thou round about the sacrifice aflare? For of all gods the city swaying, those supernal, those infernal, those of the fields, those of the marts obeying, the altars blaze with gifts, and here and there, heaven high, the torch uplifts flame, medicated with persuasions mild, with foul admixture unbeguiled, of holy unguent from the clotted chrism brought from the palace, safe in its abysm. Of these things speaking what may be indeed both possible and lawful to concede. Healer do thou become of this solicitude, which now stands plainly forth of evil mood, and then — but from oblations, hope, to day graciously appearing, wards away from soul the insatiate care, the sorrow at my breast devouring there. Empowered am I to sing the omens, what their force, which journeying rejoice the potentates. For still from God inflates my breast song's suasion, age, born to the business, still such war can wage. How the fierce bird against the Teucris land dispatched, with spear and executing hand, the Achaeans' two-throned empery, o'er Hellas' youth, two rulers with one mind. The bird's king to these kings of ships on high, the black sort and the sort that's white behind, appearing by the palace on the spear-throw side, in right sky regions visible far and wide, devouring a hare-creature great with young, balked of more racings they, as she from whom they sprung. Ah, Linus, say, ah, Linus, song of wail, but may the god prevail. The prudent army prophet, seeing too the Atreidae, to their tempers knew those feasting on the hare the armament conductors were, and thus he spoke, explaining signs in view. In time, this outset takes the town of Priamos, but all before its towers, the people's wealth that was, of flocks and herds, as sure shall booty sharing thence drain to the dregs away, by battle violence. Only have care lest grudge of any god disturb with cloud the unsullied shine of that great force, the curb of Troia, struck with damp beforehand in the camp. For envyingly is the virgin Artemis toward her father's flying hounds this house, the sacrificers of the piteous and cowering beast. Brood and all, ere the birth, she hates the eagle's feast. Ah, Linos, say, ah, Linos, song of wail, but may the good prevail. Thus ready is the beauteous one with help to those small dewdrop things fierce lions whelp, an utter loving litter of each brute that roams the mead. And therefore makes she suit, the fair one, for fulfilment to the end of things these signs portend. Which partly smile indeed, but partly scowl, the phantasms of the fowl. I call Aias Paean to avert she work the Danaoi hurt, by any thwarting waftures long and fast holdings from sail of ships, and sacrifice another than the last she for herself precipitate, something unlawful, feast for no man's lips, builder of quarrels with the house cognate, having in awe no husband, for remains a frightful backward darting in the path, wily housekeeping chronicler of wrath, that has to punish that old children's fate. Such things did Calchas, with abundant gains as well, vociferate, predictions from the birds in journeying above the abode of either king. With these Symphonius sing. Ah, Linos, say, ah, Linos, song of wail, but may the good prevail. Zeus, whosoe'er he be, if that express aught dear to him on whom I call, so do I him address. I cannot liken out, by all admeasurement of powers, any but Zeus for refuge at such hours, if veritably needs I must from off my soul its vague care burthen thrust. Not, whosoever was the great of yore, bursting to bloom with bravery all round, is in our mouths, he was, but is no more. And who it was that after came to be, met the thrice throwing wrestler, he is also gone to ground. But Zeus, If any, heart and soul, that name, Shouting the triumph praise, proclaim, Complete in judgment shall that man be found. Zeus, who leads onward mortals to be wise, Appoints that suffering masterfully teach. In sleep before the heart of each, A woe-remembering travail sheds in due Discretion, ay, and melts the unwilling too, By what perchance may be a graciousness Of gods, enforced no less, as they, Commanders of the crew, assume the awful seat. And then the old leader of the Achaean fleet, Disparaging no seer, With bated breath, to suit misfortune's inrush here, What time it laboured, that Achaean host, By stay from sailing, every pulse at length Emptied of vital strength. Hard over Chalcis' shore bound, current crossed in Aulis station, While the winds which post from Strumon, ill delayers, famine fraught, Tempters of man to sail where harbourage is naught. Spendthrifts of ships and cables, turning time To twice the length, these carded by delay To less and less away The Argeians' flowery prime. And when a remedy, more grave and grand Than aught before, yea, for the storm and dearth, The prophet to the foremost in command Shrieked forth, as cause of this educing Artemis, so that the Atreidae, striking staves on earth, Could not withhold the tear, then did the king, the elder, speak this clear: Heavy the fate indeed, to disobey. Yet heavy if my child I slay, the adornment of my household, With the tide of virgin slaughter at the altar side, A father's hands defiling. Which the way, without its evils, say? How shall I turn, fleet fugitive, Failing of duty to allies? Since for a wind-abating sacrifice And virgin blood 'tis right they strive, Nay, madden with desire. Well may it work them, this that they require. But when he underwent necessity's yoke-trace, From soul-blowing unhallowed change, unclean, abominable, thence, another man, The audacious mind of him began its wildest range. For this it is gives mortals hardihood, Some vice devising miserable mood Of madness, and first woe of all the brood. The sacrificer of his daughter — strange! He dared become, to expedite Woman-avenging warfare, anchors weighed with such prelusive rite. Prayings and callings, Father, nought they made Of these and of the virgin age, Captains heart-set on war to wage. His ministrants, vows done, the father bade, Kid-like above the altar swathed in pall, Take her, lift high, and have no fear at all. Head downward, and the fair mouth's guard and frontage hold. Press hard from utterance a curse against the house By dint of bit, violence bridling speech. And as to ground her saffron vest she shed, She smote the sacrificers all and each With arrows sweet and piteous, from the eye only sped, Significant of will, to use a word, Just as in pictures. Since full many a time, in her sire's guest hall, By the well-heaped board had she made music, Lovingly with chime of her chaste voice, That unpolluted thing, honoured the third libation, Paean that should bring Good fortune to the sire she loved so well. What followed, those things I nor saw nor tell. But Calchas' arts, whate'er they indicate, Miss of fulfilment never — it is fate. True, justice makes in sufferers a desire To know the future woe preponderate. But — here before is need ? To that, farewell and welcome ! 'Tis the same indeed As grief beforehand, clearly, part for part, Conformably to Calchas' art, Shall come the event. But be they as they may, things subsequent, What is to do, prosperity betide Even as we wish it. We, the next allied, Sole guarding barrier of the Apian land. I am come, reverencing power in thee, O Clytemnestra. For 'tis just we bow to the ruler's wife, The male seat man bereaved. But if thou, having heard good news, or none, For good news hope, dost sacrifice thus wide, I would hear gladly. Art thou mute? No grudge. Clytemnestra Good news announcer may, as is the byword, Morn become truly, news from Night his mother. But thou shalt learn joy past all hope of hearing. Priam's city have the Argioi taken. Chorus. How sayest? The word, from want of faith, escaped me. Clytemnestra. Troia the Achioi hold. Do I speak plainly? Chorus. Joy overcreeps me, calling forth the teardrop. Clytemnestra. Right, for that glad thou art, thine eye convicts thee. Chorus. For what to thee of all this trusty token? Clytemnestra. What's here? How else, unless the god have cheated? Chorus. Haply thou flattering shows of dreams respectest? Clytemnestra. No fancy would I take of soul sleep burthened. Chorus. But has there puffed thee up some unwinged omen? Clytemnestra. As a young maid's my mind thou mockest grossly. Chorus. Well, at what time was, even sacked the city? Clytemnestra. Of this same mother night, the dawn, I tell thee. Chorus. And who of messengers could reach this swiftness? Clytemnestra. Hephaestus, sending a bright blaze from Ide. Beacon did beacon send from fire the poster hitherward, Ide to the rock Hermaion of Lemnos, and a third great torch of the island Zeus' seat received in turn, the Athoan summit. And, so upsoaring as to stride sea over, the strong lamp voyager, and all for joyance, did the gold glorious splendour any sun like pass on, the pine tree to Makistos' watch place. Who did not, tardy, caught, no wits about him, by sleep, decline his portion of the missive. And far the beacon's light, on stream Euripos, arriving, made aware Messippios' warders. And up they lit in turn, played herald onwards, kindling with flame a heap of grey old heather. And, strengthening still, the lamp, decaying nowise, springing over plain Asopus, full moon fashion effulgent, toward the crag of Mount Kithaeron, roused a new rendering up of fire the escort. And light, far escort, lacked no recognition o' the guard, as burning more than burnings told you. And over Lake Gorgopis light went leaping, and at Mount Aigiplanktos safe arriving, enforced the law to never stint the fire stuff. And they send, lighting up with ungrudged vigour, of flame a huge beard, aye, the very foreland, so as to strike above, in burning onward, the lookout which commands the strait Saronic. Then did it dart until it reached the outpost, Mount Arachneos here, the city's neighbour, and then darts to this roof of the Atreidae, this light of Ide's fire not unforefathered. Such are the rules prescribed the flambeau bearers. He beats that's first and also last in running. Such is the proof and token, I declare thee, my husband having sent me news from Troia. Chorus. The gods indeed! Anon will I pray, woman. But now these words to hear, and sate my wonder thoroughly, I am fain, if twice thou tell them. Clytemnestra. Troia do the Achaoi hold this same day. I think a noise, no mixture, reigns in the city. Sour wine and unguent pour thou in one vessel. Standers apart, not lovers, wouldst thou style them. And so, of captives and of conquerors, partwise the voices are to hear, of fortune diverse. For those indeed upon the bodies prostrate, of husbands, brothers, children upon parents, the old men, from a throat that's free no longer, shriekingly wail the death doom of their dearest, while these, the after-battle hungry labour, which prompts night faring, marshals them to breakfast on the town's store, according to no billet of sharing, but as each drew lot of fortune. In the spear-captured Troic habitations house they already, from the frosts upethral, and dews delivered will they, luckless creatures, without a watch to keep, slumber all night through. And if they fear the gods, the city-guarders, and the god structures of the conquered country, they may not, capturers, soon in turn be captive. But see no prior lust befall the army to sack things sacred, by gain-cravings vanquished. For there needs homeward the returned salvation, to round the new limb back of the double race-course, and guilty to the gods if came the army, awakened up the sorrow of those slaughtered might be, should no outbursting evils happen. But may good beat, No turn to see in the balance, for many benefits I want the gain of. Chorus. Woman, like prudent man thou kindly speakest, and I, thus having heard thy trusty tokens, the gods to rightly hail forthwith prepare me. For, grace that must be paid has crowned our labours. O Zeus the king, and friendly night, of these brave boons bestower, thou who didst fling on Troia's every tower the o'er-roofing snare, that neither great thing might, nor any of the young ones, overpass captivity's great sweep-net, one and all, of Ate held in thrall. Ay, Zeus, I fear, the guest's friend great, who was the doer of this, and long since bent the bow on Alexandros with intent that neither wide o' the white, nor o'er the stars, the foolish dart should light. The stroke of Zeus, they have it, as men say. This at least from the source-track forth we may. As he ordained, so has he done. No, said some one, the gods think fit to care nowise for mortals, such as those by whom the good and fair of things denied their touch is trampled. But he was profane. That they do care has been made plain to offspring of the overbold, outbreathing Ares greater than is just, houses that spill with more than they can hold, more than is best for man. Be man's what must keep harm off, so that in himself he finds sufficiency, the well-endowed of mind. For there's no bulwark in man's wealth to him who through a surfeit kicks into the dim and disappearing right's great altar. Yes, it urges him, the sad persuasiveness, Ate's insufferable child that schemes treason beforehand. And all cure is vain. It is not hidden, out it glares again, a light dread lamping mischief, just as gleams the badness of the bronze. Through rubbing, puttings to the touch, black clotted is he, judged at once. He seeks, the boy, a flying bird to clutch, the insufferable brand setting upon the city of his land, whereof not any god hears prayer. While him who brought about such evils there, that unjust man, the god in grapple throws. Such an one Paris goes within the Atreides' house, shamed the guest board by robbery of the spouse. And leaving to her townsmen throngs aspread with shields and spear thrusts of sea armament, and bringing Ilion in a dowry's stead, destruction swiftly through the gates she went, daring the undarable. But many a groan outbroke from prophets of the house, as thus they spoke: Woe, woe, the house and rulers, woe! The marriage bed and dints a husband's love imprints. There she stands silent, meets no honour, no shame, sweetest still to see of things gone long ago. And, through desire of one across the main, a ghost will seem within the house to reign. And hateful to the husband is the grace of well-shaped statues. From, in place of eyes, those blanks, all Aphrodite dies. But dream appearing mournful fantasies. There they stand, bringing grace that's vain. For vain 'tis when brave things one seems to view. The fantasy has floated off, hands through, gone that appearance, nowise left to creep On wings the servants in the paths of sleep. Woes, then, in household and on hearth are such as these, and woes surpassing these by much. But not these only. Everywhere, for those who from the land of Hellas issued in a band, sorrow the heart must bear, sits in the home of each, conspicuous there. Many a circumstance, at least, touches the very breast, for those, whom any sent away, he knows. And in the live man's stead, armour and ashes reach the house of each. For Ares, gold exchanger for the dead, and balance holder in the fight of the spear, due weight from Ilion sends. What moves the tier on tier? A charred scrap to the friends. Filling with well-packed ashes every urn, for man that was the soul return. And they groan, praising much the while, now this man as experienced in the strife, now that, fallen nobly on a slaughtered pile, because of not his own, another's wife. But things there be, one barks when no man harks, a surreptitious grief that's grudge against the Atreidae who first sought the judge. But some there, round the rampart, have in Ilion earth each one his grave. all fair formed as at birth. It hid them, what they have and hold, the hostile earth. And grave with anger goes the city's word, And pays a debt by public curse incurred. And ever with me, as about to hear A something night involved, remains my fear. Since of the many slayers, not unwatching are the gods. The black Erinnys, at due periods, whoever gains the lot of fortune with no right, Him, by life's strain and stress, back again beaten from success, They strike blind, and among the out of sight For who has got to be, avails no might. The being praised outrageously is grave, For at the eyes of such an one is launched From Zeus the thunderstone. Therefore do I decide for so much, and no more prosperity Than of his envy passes unespied. Neither a city sacker would I be, Nor life myself by others captive see. A swift report has gone our city through, From fire the good news messenger, if true, Who knows? Or is it not a god-sent lie? Who is so childish and deprived of sense That, having at announcements of the flame Thus novel, felt his own heart fired thereby, He then shall, at a change of evidence, Be worsted just the same? It is conspicuous in a woman's nature, Before its view, to take a grace for granted. Too trustful, on her boundary usurpature Is swiftly made, but swiftly too decayed. The glory perishes by woman vaunted. Clytemnestra. Soon shall we know, of these light-bearing torches And beacons and exchanges, fire with fire, If they are true indeed, or if, dream fashion, This gladsome light came and deceived our judgment. Yon herald from the shore I see, o'ershadowed with boughs of olive. Dust, mud's thirsty brother, close neighbours on his garb Thus testify me, that neither voiceless Nor yet kindling for thee mountain wood flame Shall he explain by fire smoke, but either tell out more the joyance speaking, word contrary to which I ought but love it. For may good be to good that's known appendage. Chorus. Whoever prays for aught else to this city, May he himself reap fruit of his mind's error. Herald. Ah, my forefathers' soil of earth Argeian, Thee in this year's 10th light am I returned to, Of many broken hopes, on one hope chancing. For never prayed I, in this earth Argeian dying, To share my part in tomb the dearest. Now hail thou, earth, and hail thou also sunlight, And Zeus the country's lord, and king the Puthian, From bow no longer urging at us arrows. Enough, beside Scamandros cam'st thou adverse. Now contrary, be saviour thou and healer, O King Apollon, and God's conquest granting, all I invoke too, and my tutelary Hermes, dear herald, herald's veneration, And heroes our forth senders, friendly once more The army to receive, the war spear's leavings. Ah, mansions of my monarchs, roofs beloved, And awful seats in deities sun-fronting, Receive with pomp your monarch long time absent. For he comes bringing light in night time to you, In common with all these, King Agamemnon. But kindly greet him, for clear shows your duty, Who has dug under Troia with the mattock Of Zeus the Avenger, whereby plains are out-ploughed, Altars unrecognizable, and gods' shrines, And the whole land's seed thoroughly has perished. And such a yoke-strap having cast round Troia, The elder king Atreides, happy man, He comes to be honoured, worthiest of what mortals now are. Nor Paris nor the accomplice city outvaunts their deed as more than they are done by. For, in a suit for rape and theft found guilty, He missed of plunder, and in one destruction Fatherland, house and home has mowed to atoms. Debts the Priamidai have paid twice over. Chorus. Hail, herald from the army of Achaeans. Herald. I hail. To die will gainsay gods no longer. Chorus. Love of this fatherland did exercise thee? Herald. So that I weep at least with joy, my eyes full. Chorus. What, of this gracious sickness were ye gainers? Herald. How now? Instructed, I this speech shall master. Chorus. For those who loved you back, with longing stricken. Herald. This land yearned for the yearning army, sayst thou? Chorus. So as to set me off from dark mind groaning. Herald. Whence came this ill mind, hatred to the army? Chorus. Of old I used for mischief's physic silence. Herald. And how, the chiefs away, did you fear any? Chorus. So that now, late thy word, much joy were dying. Herald. For well have things been worked out. These in much time, some of them, one might say, had luck in falling, while some were faulty. For who, gods excepted, goes through the whole time of his life ungrieving? For labours would I tell of, and bad lodgments, narrow deckways, ill strewn too, what the day's woe we did not groan at getting for our portion. As for land things again, on went more hatred. Since birds were ours hard by the foeman's ramparts, and, out of heaven and from the earth, the meadow dews kept a sprinkle, an abiding damage of vestures, making hair a wild beast madding. Winter too, if one told of it, bird slaying, such as unbearable Idaean's snow brought, or heat, when waveless on its noontide couches without a wind the sea would slumber falling. Why must one mourn these? O'er and gone is labour, o'er and gone is it, even to those dead ones, so that no more again they mind uprising. Why must we tell in numbers those deprived ones, and the live man be vexed with fate's fresh outbreak? Rather I bid full farewell to misfortunes. For us the left from out the Argeian army the gain beats, nor does sorrow counterbalance. So that 'tis fitly boasted of, this sunlight, by us, o'er sea and land, the airy flyers, Troia at last taking, the band of Argives hang up such trophies to the gods of Hellas within their domes, new glory to grow ancient. Such things, men having heard, must praise the city and army leaders, and the grace which wrought them. Of Zeus shall honour be. Thou hast my whole word. End of Part I. Recording by Expatriate in Bangor, Maine.